is CTV News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Michelle Maluske. The city of Detroit is the safest it's been in 60 years. In new stats released today, Detroit police had 165 homicides to investigate in 2025. They say not only is that an 18% drop over the year before, it's also the lowest since 1965, when 188 people were killed in Detroit. Officials also reporting carjackings, sexual assaults, robberies, and non-fatal shootings all down year over year. Detroit's Chief of Police, Todd Bettison, credits a number of initiatives, including a dedicated unit for responding to illegal street parties and high-tech scanners to detect weapons at major events. Newly elected Mayor Mary Sheffield praised the previous Detroit Council for increased parental responsibility fines, up to $500 for a second offense if a parent of a minor lets them out after the city's curfew. Meantime, Windsor police have released a suspect description of a man wanted for what they say is a violent sexual assault. 32-year-old Shamark Ishmael is facing 5 charges, including sexual assault with a weapon and forcible confinement. In the early morning hours of December 31st, police say a woman and a man had consensual sexual activity. But when the woman tried to end the interaction, she alleges the man became aggressive, pulled out a gun, and threatened to kill her. The woman escaped and called police. Authorities believe there may be more victims. Police describe the accused in this investigation as a black man who stands 5'11". He has short, buzz-cut brown hair and brown eyes. He was driving a white Toyota Highlander with a license plate DFNL 754. Any other victims are asked to come forward by calling police. K9 officer Rolex gets the credit for stopping a break-and-enter on the West End. Early Tuesday morning, a suspect used a chainsaw to break into an old school. Rolex discovered the man and he was arrested. Drugs were seized and a 26-year-old is facing multiple charges. The health unit has issued a warning tonight to the community and most specifically to parents to properly store cannabis edibles after a student brought some to school this week. Tonight, police are confirming the incident. CTV's Travis Fortnum brings us the latest.
I'm like, officer, my kid's ODing right here, bro. Like, I want to know what he took.
Scary moments at Hugh Beaton Elementary School on Tuesday with emergency crews responding to assess a group of kids in distress. Jeff Fuchs says he got a text from his son, an 8th grader, around 11 o'clock in the morning.
He's like, Dad, I made a mistake. You have to come get me. I'm like, what are you talking about? Call me right now. He calls. He's like, Dad, I took something. I don't feel good. Get to the school.
What the Fuchs boy took, it turns out, at least one gummy said to have 100 milligrams of THC, 10 times the limit of edibles sold through legal dispensaries. He says the kid who brought them in told police he bought them from someone over social media.
Now I'm going crazy. So now they call the police, the ambulances. We're waiting. My kid's now throwing up.
In a statement, Windsor police confirming they responded with 3 of the kids assessed by EMS and 1, Fuchs' son, taken to hospital. A spokesperson saying a 12-year-old youth was formally cautioned for providing cannabis to a person who appeared to be under 25 years of age and was subsequently released to the care of their parents.
These are potent drugs that can have significant effects on different people.
A 100 milligram edible is a lot, especially for a kid who experts say shouldn't have any THC at all. According to the Ontario Poison Centre, it can be more dangerous for kids than adults because edibles are absorbed unpredictably and smaller bodies receive a much higher dose of THC relative to body weight. Children's brains are also still developing, which can amplify the effects.
Make sure that they are stored properly at home, that are not accessible to children and pets.
Fuchs says in the moments he didn't know what his son had taken, he was frustrated school board policy prevented a prompt search of the kids. And now that they do know what was taken, he's worried things could have been much worse.
There's kindergartens here. If obviously these kids are irresponsible. Okay, now if they would have dropped one of those, it was a big pack, the officer showed me. If they would have dropped one of those in the hallway, and the kindergarten would have ate one of those.
The day after, Fuchs says his son is doing much better, but he was asked to stay home from school while officials investigate what exactly happened. And he did miss basketball practice on Tuesday night. Travis Fortnum, CTV News.
Meantime, Essex County has the dubious distinction of the highest impaired driving charges over the holiday season. As Chris Campbell reports, many of those offenders might get caught up in new, stricter impaired driving penalties.
Essex County once again recorded the highest number of impaired driving charges in the OPP's West Region during the annual Festive Ride campaign.
I think that figure needs to come with some context. I mean, certainly, yes, Essex did have the highest number of impaired driving charges, but it is also the most populous detachment area in West Region.
Between November 20th and January 1st, Essex County officers laid 54 impaired driving charges, the most in the region, marking the third consecutive year the county has topped West Region numbers.
There is a problem with impaired driving in Essex County, but it's not unique to that county alone. It's certainly a problem that every detachment area in West Region and certainly beyond.
Across the West Region, OPP did more than 3,000 Festive Ride spot checks, the highest number in 5 years, resulting in 269 impaired driving charges and 40 suspensions.
We're seeing people who are making bad decisions. That is the common denominator. With impaired driving and the tragedies that result very often, in every instance, it's preventable. It's preventable behavior.
While police are responsible for enforcement, the Ministry of Transportation introduced new impaired driving laws effective January 1st. Some key changes to the laws around drinking and driving include longer roadside suspensions for novice or young drivers. Immediate roadside license suspensions for first and second offenses have doubled. The first has increased from 3 days to 7 days, and a second offense goes from 7 days to 14 days. No changes to the third offense, a 30-day suspension. Education and treatment is now mandatory. First-time offenders now required to complete a mandatory remedial education program. Repeat offenders must complete a treatment program before they can be eligible to drive again. Under the old law, treatment programs were at the discretion of the court. There's also now an extended look-back period. Police can now check a driver's record for previous alcohol or drug-related offenses over the last 10 years, doubling the old law. And when it comes to a conviction for impaired driving causing death, a driver will automatically get a lifetime license suspension. Previously, it was up to the court's discretion.
You know, there is a stubborn core of people that haven't received the message yet, and we're hoping that people are watching the Festive Ride results and thinking about their own behavior.
Chris Campbell, CTV News.
An East End restaurant and bar will start serving an Alcohol and Gaming Commission penalty over the weekend. Starting this Saturday, Average Joe's liquor license is suspended until February 24th. The Alcohol and Gaming Commission cited a fatal motorcycle crash last year, alleging the bar served a patron who had consumed at least 10 drinks before leaving. The bar posted on social media expressing surprise at the timing and the impact it will have on staff and, of course, business. In the meantime, Average Joe's will continue to serve food and host alcohol-free events. At Windsor Superior Court, 2 trials were adjourned early today. First, evidence is concluded in the sexual assault trial of 35-year-old Jesse Maluske. He's pleaded not guilty to the single count in front of a jury. They will hear closing arguments Friday. Meantime, the trial of 22-year-old Cameron Drulard also adjourned. It will resume Thursday at 11. He's charged with 4 offenses, including failing to provide the necessities of life and impaired driving, stemming from a serious accident in Lakeshore in 2022. And also in Welland, the trial of a man wanted in the murder of 20-year-old Juliana Panunzio of Essex and 18-year-old Christine Crooks of Toronto continues in a Welland court. 27-year-old Christopher Lucas of Toronto has pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of second-degree murder for the January 2021 shooting. Today, the defense calling evidence, beginning with a man who's already testified previously. Lucas's lawyers believe Trevor Barnett was the shooter that night. The Crown maintains it was Lucas. The defense will continue their evidence Friday. To City Hall now, with more details emerging about the cuts proposed to help bring in a zero tax increase. CTV's Sanjay Maru reports.
The number of in-camera items in the 2026 proposed budget has been cut down from 54 to 25. The majority of the 29 formerly private items have to do with staffing. At least 17 permanent positions would be cut through attrition, while other departments are restructuring to meet legislated requirements or maintain service levels without raising the property tax levy. In some cases, staffing reductions are tied to modernization efforts or operational efficiencies, while elsewhere, such as Transit Windsor and pollution control, new positions are being added. One city councillor, however, is drawing attention to one item in particular that remains private, a $2.6 million cut to housing services.
We are in a housing crisis as we currently speak. I wasn't expecting that we would see as substantial a cut as is being proposed to that department, given where we are.
Ward 9 Councillor Kieran McKenzie says he has filed a notice of motion to get details of this item out in the open. An item in a multi-billion-dollar budget that, according to McKenzie, came with fewer opportunities for council to weigh in.
Previous years, there was a role for council to play. We had the council committees at the last budget process. There was another larger meeting of the whole of council where we had all of the departments come and delegate to us essentially as a council. We had none of that included in the process this time, so I think that's been problematic.
In a statement, Mayor Drew Dilkin says the 25 remaining in-camera items are staying private because they deal with things like security, labor relations, contract negotiations, and legal matters. Sanjay Maru, CTV News.
Are you in the market for a football stadium? Windsor Stadium is up for sale by the Greater Essex County District School Board. The board has also listed Kingsville District and High School and Public School for sale. Public viewings are scheduled for later this month. You can find the details on our website, ctvnewswindsor.ca. An important day today in Leamington for Erie Shores Healthcare. The hospital is getting $2.3 million in base funding for their admission and discharge unit. It's a comfortable space for patients to wait for final discharge orders or prescriptions from their doctors. The hospital believes the ADU has reduced wait times, shortened hospital stays, and cut hours of paperwork for nurses.
Right now, we've improved the time a patient is in the hospital by about 7 hours, and we've improved the wait time to see a physician by almost 3 hours. So you're seeing a physician 3 hours earlier, you're staying in the hospital from start to finish about 7 hours less.
The unseasonable January weather rolls on, but for how long? CTV meteorologist Gary Archibald has your full weather details coming up in 2 minutes' time. Taking matters into his own hands, a Tecumseh man desperate for a new kidney advertises his need. The story still to come on CTV News at 11. CTV meteorologist Gary Archibald joining me now with a full look at the weather, and I understand there's lots more mild temps in there, Gary.
You're right about that. Good evening, Michelle. Good evening, folks. We're talking about temperatures that could exceed the 10-degree mark, and at this time of the year, that would be unusual, statistically significant, no doubt. Today's temperature was 7 degrees above seasonal. Average high would be in the minuses, close to -1. We got to 6 degrees. Some areas were closer to 7 in extreme southwestern Ontario. And there isn't much going on tonight. Partly cloudy to mostly cloudy conditions. At times, there's been very light fog developing. We still could see that humidity values are high through tonight into tomorrow morning. So cloudy to start. We'll get into some breaks, maybe even see some sun before Friday's rain comes in. I think it starts really late Thursday, 11 p.m. and rides right through the morning and early afternoon, and then lingering showers behind this front will be the story for Saturday. So it's wet Friday, Saturday. The weekend is mild, though, very mild. More on that in just a moment. The overnight low, technically the lowest temperature before dawn tomorrow morning. That's Thursday morning, +1. Under partly cloudy, maybe some very light fog moving through, and a very light breeze. Here's your breakdown for tomorrow. I'm calling for a mixture of sun and cloud by 8 a.m. 2 degrees at that juncture. The winds out of the south, that's where that southerly warm air is coming from. Sunny through the midday between, say, noon and 2 p.m. up to 7 degrees and up to 8 most likely by about 3 o'clock and holding at that level through to supper time. 5, 6, 7 p.m. for most, and there's a chance of a light shower towards the evening. But the heavy rains really come in for Friday. And here's a look at that temperature bump as well as the wet weather that's on the way. The next 7 days, the highs and lows anticipated. Note the probability stat. That's the likelihood of an occurrence or more. And we're rating this relatively high in terms of the rainfall coming for Friday through Saturday morning. And then the polar air mass moves in. Sunday, we'll see a huge nosedive. In terms of temperatures, daytime highs are now seasonal, what we would expect for this time of year, closer to -1. Could see a wintry mix, in fact. Some freezing rain, ice pellets, wet snow, and rain itself. Monday, fairer day, but still coolish and seasonal to +1 for a daytime high, -6 for a low. Cloudy for Tuesday through the midweek. Wednesday, another round of icy precipitation is possible. So, big warm up for tomorrow, lingering, and then a huge warm up. Could see some areas, southeast Michigan into southern Ontario, double digits. Some models suggesting 13 or 14 degrees before it gets much colder on Sunday.
New tonight, a Canadian recruiting company has released a list of the top 15 most in-demand jobs for 2026. As CTV's Matt Gilmore reports, it includes a wide range of positions, from healthcare to sales to forklift operators.
A new year and fresh prospects for young Canadians looking to enter the workforce.
Well, they're actually frontline operational roles, a lot of them, and they're really focused on human connection and front-facing relationship building.
According to Randstad, the top 5 jobs companies will be looking to fill in 2026 are sales associate, administrative assistant, customer service representative, accounting technician, and receptionist. Nancy D'Onofrio says most of the jobs on the list are entry to mid-level, but with AI, they're evolving.
I think there's a lot of discussion as well that AI is replacing roles, but if you look at these roles that are very human focused and relationship based, they're actually elevating these roles.
Healthcare is another area where D'Onofrio says there will be job opportunities in 2026. Nurses, pharmacy technicians, and dental assistants are also in the top 15 most in-demand jobs.
We're obviously seeing a huge shortage in healthcare because there's a lot of retirements that are happening as well.
Perhaps most surprisingly, forklift operator has squeezed into the top 15 this year. D'Onofrio says that's due to the rise of e-commerce and demand on supply chains. Going forward, she expects even more opportunities in logistics and construction.
By 2027, there's going to be a shortage of 172,000 workers.
Most of the jobs on the list pay an average of between $50,000 and $70,000 per year. Economist Moshe Lander says that's a decent starting point for young Canadians, but still low compared to Canada's cost of living.
Is that going to get you an affordable cost of living? And most Canadians at $50,000 to $60,000 are going to say, no, it won't.
That's why he says it's important to look for jobs with opportunities for growth.
If it's merely something to pass the time between 9 and 5, Monday to Friday, it's going to be really hard to get those above inflation wages because your productivity is just going to stagger.
Food for thought for the many young Canadians preparing to enter the job market, nervous about their chances of getting ahead. Matt Gilmore, CTV News.
On the markets, the TSX dropped 271 points. In New York, the Dow was off 466 and the Nasdaq saw a slight gain. The loonie lost about 1/5 cent. Gold was off over $33 an ounce and oil shed $1.14 a barrel. And now to the latest on the situation in Venezuela. The U.S. has seized 2 ships carrying Venezuelan oil, including a Russian-flagged vessel in the North Atlantic. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is ramping up talk of buying Greenland. CTV's Joy Malbon has more on today's developments.
Dramatic pictures posted by the Trump administration show the U.S. Coast Guard boarding a Russian-flagged oil tanker after chasing it in the North Atlantic for 2 weeks and risking a conflict with the Kremlin. Moscow officials angrily called the U.S. seizure outright piracy. Another vessel captured in the Caribbean, U.S. forces seen rappelling onto the deck of an empty vessel called the Sophia. Both ships accused of violating U.S. sanctions after the Trump administration ordered a blockade of Venezuelan oil, capturing its president Nicolas Maduro in a daring raid, accusing him of operating a narco-terrorist regime.
So our military is prepared to continue this. As he said, the president, when he speaks, he means it. He's not messing around.
It comes as President Donald Trump says he's in charge of Venezuela and will control its oil, posting the country will turn over 30 to 50 million barrels of oil to the U.S. The administration claims it has tremendous leverage to force the socialist government to become an ally.
We're going to sell it in the marketplace at market rates, not at the discounts Venezuela was getting. That money will then be handled in such a way that we will control how it is dispersed in a way that benefits the Venezuelan people, not corruption, not the regime.
After a classified briefing, several lawmakers are critical of Trump's attempt to reshape the world order.
This is an insane plan. They are talking about stealing the Venezuelan oil at gunpoint.
I am totally dissatisfied about their answers of going into other countries.
The Trump administration intends to oversee the sale of Venezuela's oil indefinitely, as President Trump plans to meet with major U.S. oil executives Friday about restarting drilling in Venezuela. Joy Malvin, CTV News, Washington.
So what does this all mean here in Canada and Windsor, Essex? Will this whole disagreement about oil have any impact at the pumps? We turn to an expert at the University of Windsor to ask if we could bet on a change in the price of gasoline.
The global economy runs on oil. Whatever commodity in the economy you're talking about, it needs to be transported, and transportation runs with oil.
Jesse Sala Ovadia is an associate professor of political science at U Windsor with expertise in oil and energy. He says global conflicts often center around oil, but that doesn't mean immediate pain at the pumps. Ovadia says while events in Venezuela could trigger short-term speculation, any real impact would take years, even decades, to play out. If there is a change, he says it would likely mean lower prices, but more for diesel than regular gas, and only if global supply actually increases.
In the very short term, it's possible that there'll be some speculation on what the long-term impact might be. But other than that, I don't think it can really affect the price at the pumps very much. If anything, it could affect the price of diesel more than the gasoline that everybody uses in their cars, because the kind of oil that Venezuela produces is more easily refined into diesel.
Discussion here at Windsor City Hall.
Windsor's top stories.
A major project is about to get underway.
Breaking news alerts.
Severe weather is a possibility.
And watch live.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Download the CTV News app.
On the sidelines today, our Bob Bellachico included a fitting send-off for a longtime OHL referee. The Spitz and visiting Saginaw Spirit wished Ryan Hutchison well following a game over the holidays. Fans even stuck around to send him off with applause. Hutch refed for over 30 years. One of the highlights, that epic Windsor versus London playoff series in 2017.
There was lots of things throughout the series, and it's just something I'll always remember. The other thing, too, is, I say it, but the last year Connor McDavid was in this league, I mean, every building you went to was just, it was electric. It was extra security. Just there was a different buzz in the arena, and that was pretty cool.
We've posted Bob's entire sports segment on our website, ctvnewswindsor.ca. Simply search the word sidelines. All right, let's check in one last time on the weather. Here's CTV meteorologist Gary Archibald.
Michelle, I'm counting on some warm air to raise temperatures in a big way, and we could still see some significant rainfall. There's two things to point out with this next 7 days. Obviously the wet weather, but note the temperature trend. Huge bump in temperatures to 8 degrees, 9 degrees above seasonal tomorrow for daytime high showers, about a 40% chance of that. I think if we do see it, maybe some fog, very light drizzle in the morning, and then a nice break with some sunshine midday, showers later in the evening. But Friday, Saturday, wet days. High probability of seeing it, and temperatures surging, especially Friday to 12 degrees Celsius. Sunday, different story altogether. Colder air mass moves in, displaces the mild temperatures, gets us back to a wintry feel. And we could see some freezing rain again with some ice pellets, some wet snow. A bit of a break Monday, Tuesday, and then some more active weather headed our way a week from now, and temperatures more seasonal across the board. That's a look at your weather.
Waiting for an organ donation can take anywhere from 2 to 10 years. As CTV's Stephanie Mazzotti reports, one local man is tired of waiting, so he's advertising his need.
In need of a kidney, blood type A positive.
Dwight Hesman is trying something different after being diagnosed with kidney failure 3 years ago.
Very scary, very frustrating.
He is advertising his plight and reaching out to the public for help.
It's a slow process.
6 months ago, he decided to take action, attempting to increase his chances of getting a living kidney donor by publicly listing his phone number on multiple vehicles across Windsor, Essex. He says he's received half a dozen inquiries since.
Just the fact that somebody would entertain the idea of actually, being interested in doing this it's mind-blowing.
Some friends and family are also spreading the word, attaching the same magnets on their vehicles. Hesman tells CTV News he is on a wait list for a deceased donor, which would help extend a recipient's life by approximately 5 years. A living donor would increase his lifespan by about 15 years. He's also calling on the provincial government to pass the Peter Cormos Memorial Act. The bill proposes to make organ and tissue donation a procedure to opt out of rather than the current system where a donor needs to opt in.
Well, there's a definite need.
For more information on organ donation or to speak directly with Hesman, head to ctvnewswindsor.ca. Stephanie Mazzotti, CTV News.
That's all the time we have. Have a great evening.